All right, the Bills with the big 24-21 win over the New England Patriots. It's been some time since that's happened. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates up in Orchard Park. Dan, you might be at risk of blowing away, but you were there in the stadium. I want to hear your thoughts on the Bills' win today.
Yeah, this was just a weird game. It was the first game of the Bills and Patriots in this post-Tom Brady era, but this was a game that the Bills felt like they had most control of. They only went into halftime up 1 after a bad interception by Josh Allen. It was a weird game because after the Bills opened up the second half with a touchdown and it was 14-6, it seemed like the Patriots were up against the ropes and on their way out. And obviously we all know how this happened. It seemed like it was going to be deja vu all over again, but instead of Tom Brady leading a comeback, it was going to be Cam Newton. But out of all the people, Justin Zimmer makes the play to save it. It was a wild game, and like I said, guys, I got enough hairspray in my hair I could stop a bullet right now, and I'm the one that needs to be anchored down because it's windy here.
It's a windy day for sure. It looks like it out there. But, Mike, I mean, we saw not only a play from Justin Zimmer, a guy that we really wouldn't expect, but we also saw something from the Bills' offense that we haven't seen so far this season. Just their run game and how they were able to get that going.
Oh, it was a night and day difference. Look, the Patriots can't stop anybody, right? Their defense, run-wise, has been awful. San Francisco ran all over them. But that was no guarantee that the Bills were going to do that. And then they found a way to get it done. And I'm telling you, look, Devin Singletary had some nice runs.
Yeah.
Zach Moss is their #1 back right now.
Ooh.
He's their best back at the moment. I think he's been the most productive, and I think Singletary was good. But I think that adds an element they're going to need. As Dan mentioned, as we've been able to tell, it can get a little windy in Orchard Park.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah, not just Orchard Park, but it can get that way in Foxborough. And, well, down at the Meadowlands when they play down there, plus any other place that they may end up in these games. So that's a factor. You got to be able to run the ball. You don't need to make it the key to your offense every week.
But
look at Dan. He doesn't want to hear this.
Dan, come on.
Come on.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Two big signs, though, out of this game. John Feliciano is really, really important, and he's mean, and he played like it. And they got their 190 rushing yards without Mitch Morse. He went out with a concussion in the first quarter. So the team talked about that this was their motto starting on Monday. They said this was what we were going to do. They knew the weather was going to be like this, and they said all week that this was the game. And they didn't steer from it, even when they got up, even when it wasn't pretty at times. But it was impressive to see them stick to it, find some success, and once you got that, you even saw John Feliciano at one point be like, yeah, keep it going. This is what we want to do here. So it helped, especially in these conditions, because, again, slightly windy.
Slightly windy.
He doesn't want to admit that the running game was important.
You kind of talked over it a little bit. That's all right. Well, I do want to ask you, Dan, since you were in the stadium, just about the Justin Zimmer play. What was the reaction on the field, from the bench, from the sideline? Like, what were the guys feeling? Because that's a moment we haven't seen this Bills team have in so long.
Yeah, there was like an audible gasp in the press box, and there was like that, balls out, like, oh my gosh, because it just seemed like the Patriots were on their way to just not only getting the field goal to tie it to go to overtime, it was like, they're going to end this. Like, they were so calm and patient. They weren't taking their timeouts or anything like that. It was very concerning. And I thought the best part about it was, after the game, all the players, they meet up with their friends and they all walk off the field together, even though they're not supposed to in this COVID world. Justin Zimmer pretty much walked off by himself because he's a journeyman, undrafted player. Like, he didn't know anybody on the Patriots to connect with. He kind of walked off on his own, just kind of soaking in this moment. He was asked if this was, his biggest play since when, and he quickly laughed and said, ever. He's never had a play like this. 2 weeks ago against Kansas City, he thought he forced the fumble that could have changed the tide in that Chiefs game. And he said his heart dropped when he saw the review that it was going to get overturned to Mahomes being down. So he said he was pretty thrilled to know that this ball was out and a big play there.
Yeah, he even spent time in the CFL. He's definitely a guy that's made his way around the NFL, around the football in general. But Deion Dawkins talking after the game, he was asked about Zimmer and just what he brings to the team. He talked about how patient he is, how quiet he is, how much of a hard worker he is. Obviously the play of the game. But, Mike, I mean, that play in particular is so huge for just the momentum swing, just to seal the game. And that's something we haven't seen this Bills team have in so long. Finally, a win over New England. Yeah. What does this mean?
Well, it's huge. I mean, look, Josh Allen, even Sean McDermott, have talked all week about it's another game, it's another division game. they know that's not the case. Like, if you're going to beat New England, they talked about it all off season, right? If you're going to be the AFC East champs, you got to knock off New England. You got to knock them back. Well, now New England has 5 losses. They've lost 4 games in a row. They lose in the division to the Bills. So at worst, the tiebreaker is even between the 2 teams. It's a massive win for them. And you knew it wasn't going to be easy, right? It wasn't going to be just like a blowout. I mean, New England, give them credit, man. They are banged up. You know, they've been playing terrible. And they came into Orchard Park believing they could win the game, and they almost pulled it off. Almost.
Almost.
But this time it was the Bills who came through. And it wasn't easy. And yes, they were fortunate at the end, but they made a play to win the game. Zimmer made the play. The Bills held on. They deserved the victory, and they deserve being 6-2 at the break with the division in their hands at the moment. We're only halfway through the year.
Yeah. Like post-game talking to Tremaine Edmonds, it was like you get the proverbial monkey off your back. And Dan, I know all the players that you heard in the post-game interviews as well, a lot of downplaying the fact that it was New England, but also what does this do for their confidence now?
Yeah, a lot of guys were downplaying it, but you know who wasn't? The longest tenured Bills player, Jerry Hughes. He was asked earlier in the week, you know, would this be a changing of the guards? And he was like, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to have to eat crow, but we'll be prepared. And he was asked about it after the game, and he said, man, this felt good. He said it was great to see his offense get to be in victory formation once and finally get to see it. He goes, because I've seen that script too many times. So it was great because he has seen so many games have victory in their grasp and have Tom Brady just rip it from them. Yeah. For once, Jerry Hughes got to be on the side of the defense getting to make the play, and that's 2 stops. Back-to-back weeks, the defense has been the one that has made the plays late. Their confidence is growing. I'll say it again because it's the best quote I've heard from a long time. Micah Hyde, confidence is a hell of a drug.
Love it. Jerry Hughes celebrating, the rest of his Bills teammates celebrating. Sean McDermott even saying he might celebrate a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he was happy for the fans, too, like he said.
Yes.
He knows how much it means. I mean, it's felt like over these 20 years and 40 games, it's felt like New England's won like 35 of them.
Yes.
Oh, they actually had.
Wait about,
35-5.
Oh,
so,
well.
Dan, anchor yourself down.
Yeah.
Try not to blow away.
I thought I saw a snowflake. Was that true?
Yeah.
That's scary. That's scary.
This is wild.
All right,
I'm not gonna lie. Like you always hear like, oh, we got Josh Allen for like the windy weather. This was wind. This was legit.
All right, we'll make sure Dan gets home safe. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Mike Catalana, I'm Jenna Cottrell. We'll have plenty more coverage as the Bills look forward to Week 9 of the NFL. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe or comment on Buffalo Plus. Thank you so much.